east and west trusses, bracing members were utilised. Construction was completed in 1967 and well until it reached its first. Back in 1960, the bridge was initially constructed. It had 1.5 inches of concrete over the uncoated top for the time, but by the 1970s a number of similar structures were experiencing rebar corrosion. In order, a layer of concrete was poured on top of the bridge, bringing the total thickness to 3 inches. But this came with an issue, and that was the increase in weight on the truss structure, in the region of roughly £3 million, or 13.4%. All throughout the bridge's life, the structure received an annual inspection.
No, I'm not offended by that. You see, the internet is the quality of my humor, which my quality of humor is pretty much ass, and it always has to lag out, and I can have good things. Don't worry, I've been attempting to repair my internet. May not repair it, but I have an idea. I've ran a cord, a 75-foot cord from my router, and it, of course, reaches my room. And I'm wired up to the router right now.
Part of these inspections were a general condition and evaluation report, but after 1991 the results took a nosedive. As part of the annual survey, the bridge is given a status, and at the start of the 1990s
I can't remember, to be honest
it
with you.
received an unsatisfactory structural deficiency rating. A status does not indicate that a bridge is unsafe, but only that the structure is in need of maintenance, repair or eventual rehabilitation, and as such, a weight restriction is given. However, in 1993, some gusset plates had experienced corrosion. In 1998, another refurbishment project was underway at the bridge. This involved improving several features, including a central barrier and outside traffic railings, which did not meet the at the time safety standards. And like in 1977, the permanent changes increased the dead load on the bridge by about £1.13 million, or 6.1%. In the early 2000s, cracking was discovered and was drilled out and reinforced, and a process of 6 monthly inspections was enacted. And this brings us to the bridge's final renovation, leading to 4 of the 8 lanes being closed on the I-35 bridge.
That's normal. I don't know if you live in the United States, but if you do, we have, like, garbage infrastructure. Such garbage infrastructure.
What is your favorite game?
The 2007 renovation involved removing some of the concrete and adding a 2-inch thick concrete overlay on the deck. Part of the construction works involved staging materials on the bridge, ready for use. This increased the static load by roughly £578,000, right over one of the 0.5-inch thin gusset plates. During the works, throughout July, the staging of materials was not raised as a concern, and as such, for each surface pour, tons of sand, rock and water was stored right over some of the most vulnerable portions of the bridge. On the afternoon of the August the 1st, 2007, the contractors working on the bridge were preparing to pour a 530-foot overlay in the southbound inside lanes. The pour was set to be undertaken at 7 p.m. Up to this, large numbers of materials were stored on the bridge, and 2 cement tankers were fully loaded at £80,000 and were parked over pier gusset plates. To add more weight to the bridge from the
If there's a way you can use commands to scan how many items are dropped in the world, I'm gonna build a item overload kill switch.
6:05 p.m. The central span of the bridge suddenly gave way, followed by the next spans. The structure
Which, if like it exceeded a certain value, it would just destroy all the items and prevent a lag overload.
And this captured the dramatic and fatal moment of the structure's failure. There were 111 vehicles on the bridge when it collapsed, and this included public as well as personal vehicles. Many were plunged into the river, the banks, and the rail yard below the span of the bridge. The first call from 911 dispatch went out at 6:07 p.m. and at 6:08 p.m. Minneapolis 911 dispatch made a distress call requesting that all available emergency assistance personnel attend the scene. Many of the first people involved on the scene were locals and others stuck in traffic. Just 5 minutes after the collapse, police were on scene and began to coordinate the rescue efforts. Within an hour of the collapse, 12 public safety agencies responded with 28 watercraft to assist with the river rescue operations, helping to recover many victims from the Mississippi River. Some sections of the roadway were resting on top of the river, leading to the occupants of some of the vehicles being stranded, necessitating 93 being rescued from various precarious situations. In the summer evening,
I'm a little
they
unsure about
lined
this.
the river to watch the unfolding dramatic rescue efforts launched by the first responders. By 7 p.m., the rescue efforts started to move towards search and recovery as the submerged vehicles needed to be identified. By the next morning, many were still unaccounted for, and as such, the river was lowered by 2 feet by the Ford Dam downstream. It would take 3 weeks for the final body to be removed from the wreckage site. The collapse had a total of 190 casualties, 34 of whom were seriously injured and 13 would be killed. On the 6th of August, the United States House of Representatives and the United States Senate each voted unanimously to secure $250 million in emergency funding for the state of Minnesota. With traffic now rerouted away from the bridge site, many dead, and millions of dollars worth of damage, the NTSB set out to find the reason for such a dramatic and sudden structural failure. Every piece of the structure that was recovered underwent scrutiny. Investigators found that gusset plates at the upper node 10 had fractured. The fractured gusset plates, coupled with fractures in the lower cord members between, resulted in completely separating the main trusses in this area, thereby allowing the centre span to drop. Analysis of the security camera footage showed that failure had begun towards the southern end of the centre span, centred on the gusset plates and their material thickness.
That is
And the
shocking.
NTSB
It's so weird. It's like it's not supposed to happen.
L9 and L10 nodes resulted in completely separating the main trusses in this area, thereby allowing the centre span to drop. Analysis of the security camera footage showed that failure had begun towards the southern end of the centre span, centred on the gusset plates and their material thickness. And the NTSB concluded that some had inadequate capacity for the expected loads on the structure, which was further compounded by the increased weight during the 1977, 1998 and 2007 refurbishments. Ultimately, the NTSB report, released in 2008, concluded, due to a design error by Spared Up and Parcel and Associates of the gusset plates at the U10 nodes, which failed under a combination of substantial increases in the weight of the bridge, which resulted from previous bridge modifications. Spared Up and Parcel received a great deal of blame, along with the state transport officials, for giving inadequate attention to the gusset plates during inspections. Needless to say, the financial implications went beyond the recovery and cleanup for the state. On the 2nd of May 2008, a $38 million agreement to compensate victims of the bridge collapse was settled. Another $52.8 million was received by the victims from URS Corporation and Jacobs Engineering Group, the successor of Spared Up and Parcel. They also agreed to pay the state $8.9 million in an out-of-court settlement. The bridge will be replaced and opened on the 18th of September 2008. This video is a Plainly Difficult production. All videos on the channel are Creative Commons Attribution Share Alike licensed. Plainly Difficult videos are produced by me, John, in a currently sunny southeastern corner of London, UK. Help the channel grow by liking, commenting and subscribing.
Disaster of the
Check out my Twitter
Sampong
for all sorts of odds and
department
sods, as well
store.
as
At Panera, we're able to calculate
Damn, that
what's
place.
the carbon footprint of that meal on your plate. And that's what we actually call a pool food meal. And it's a badge that we use on menu items to give guests the confidence that what they're choosing is good for the planet.
It is the 29th of June 1995, and a luxury 6-year-old department store will be the centre of one of the world's most deadly structural failures, not involving a terrorist attack. The event will serve as a stark warning against quick urbanisation of cities and the importance of proper building use consideration. The collapse of the Samsung department store in Seoul would be the largest peacetime
Seoul,
disaster
South
in
Korea.
Korean history, killing 502 people and injuring 937. As such, I'm going to rate it here 7 on my Plainly Difficult disaster scale, but here 8 on my legacy scale, as the perpetrators of the event would actually be made to pay for their negligence.
Good.
It is the 1980s, and South Korea is enjoying an economic boom.
Knew it.
Although the country politically is under the control of military strongman Cho Do-hwan, it will, towards the end of the decade, move towards democracy. The country is experiencing great expansion of heavy industries, electronics and steel industries with the backing of the government. This is part of the miracle on the Han River, where the country hurtled itself to be the 11th largest economy in the world. Towards the end of the decade, Seoul hosts the 1988 Summer Olympics, and the success of this on the international stage makes the city even more of a world destination. As such, the nation's capital develops at a lightning pace, stretching the country's construction companies to breaking point. This is further exacerbated by bans against international contractors signing contracts for projects in Seoul. In 1987, riding on the wave of success in Seoul leading up to the Olympics, ground was broken for a new building. The construction project is based in Seocho district, an area in the southern part of the city. The building is to be built across land that used to be used as landfill, but is now prime real estate, ideal for a modern apartment block. The building will be a relatively straightforward 4-storey apartment block to be built by Wooseong Construction. However, this original plan wouldn't last long, as the lead of Sampong Group's construction division, Lee Jun, decided that a change of use would make the project more profitable. This would involve turning the building into a department store. The change necessitated significant amendments to the plans of the building to accommodate a central escalator system. But instead of recalculating the loads on each floor, Jun's team made some adjustments to the blueprints. The building was designed without a steel skeleton. Instead, each concrete floor would be supported by the columns without the use of horizontal beams. This method is known as flat slab construction. The use of this style of construction aids in speed of completion, ease of installing sprinklers and utilities, and other piping, as well as cost. But with the ease comes some serious downsides, and that is the construction of large spans is more difficult, and the size of the support column is vital. Throughout the central portion of the building, each floor was to be supported in the original plans by multiple concrete columns 80 centimetres in diameter with 16 22mm diameter reinforcing steel bars within. But in order to accommodate the escalators and maximise retail space, 8 columns were reduced in size to 60 centimetres with only 8 22mm reinforced bars. This was not liked by Wooseong Construction, which led to the company being dropped and Sampung completing its project in-house. The original 80 centimetre diameter columns meant that their spacing was set at 11 metres apart. Widening that gap with smaller pillars would push the building beyond its limits. But that would not be the end to the modifications from Sampung.
There's nothing good that comes from modifying this building this fast.
A relatively relatively lightweight
It's like-
addition to the already
It's like
strange
a
building.
cell
But yet
wanting to do
again,
mitosis.
plans
Like,
were
it's not gonna
changed.
end good because
Gone
it's just
was the
gonna happen.
lightweight
It's just gonna
use of the top
mutate.
floor, but instead a food court was posed. The equipment needed for such a plan would greatly push the limits to the building past breaking point, but the construction continued. Not only that, but a Korean style of underfloor heating, known as ondol, was specified for the 5th floor. This would include a concrete floor with heavy heating pipes running within. The original plans for level 5 had a calculated predicted load of 1,040 kilograms per square metre, but a new configuration had
Party.
1,530 square metres, nearly a 50% increase in weight strain on the already minimalised supporting columns. The supporting columns didn't line up throughout the building, leading to the load having to be transferred along the concrete floor slabs. To add even more load on the already stressed design, 3 15-ton air conditioning units were installed on the roof, creating a 45-ton load that was 4
Hello?
times
Yeah.
originally envisioned.
Oh crap, wait.
This was another side effect of the change
I was
of
looking at your
use for the
chat
building,
and I saw
as originally
someone
the
on there.
design wasn't intended to have
Yeah,
so
that's a
large
regular
air
viewer.
conditioning units. Not
Yeah.
only the weight caused the stress on the
Fortnite.
building, but the vibrations themselves generated from the units. Nevertheless, the Trouble project was completed in
Do you want me
late
to join and help you?
1989, seeing
You
its
want
first
to?
guests
Hold
on the
on.
7th of July 1990. Around 40,000 people per day would visit the bustling shopping mall, attracting lunchtime customers from the nearby business district, earning its business owners around $4 million per week. Around 1,000
Wow.
people
Holy
employed
shit.
in its day-to-day running, and
This
business
mall made 41 mil a week? Oof. That's some fat money right there.
How?
Wyatt. $41 million of money per week. I thought you were asking how is it good? Well, it's because they own a mall. And I think what they do is when you're in a mall and you have a shop, you have to pay rent and like to have your shop. Okay, is that be free advertising?
Yeah.
Have you ever heard of the term RGB?
Yeah, I've heard of it. I heard of the name, never known what it meant.
RGB stands for red, blue, and green.
Wait, would you rather drop a phone or drop a baby from a high building?
Phone.
No. I'm just gonna be a psychopath and drop a little orphan.
Bye, Tommy. Wait. Bye, Tony.
I keep seeing these ads. It's don't worry, darling. What, I understand it's a new movie, but what is it about? Okay, I'm in Minecraft if you want to invite me.
Okay, now the only problem is wiring this SOB up.
Wait, why are you off school? Oh wait, Labor Day.
Okay, so the wiring, that's a bad thing about what I'm building right now, is that I have to deal with the frickin' wiring, but you know what? I'd rather have to copy paste it than, up here it is. Okay, I think I need to invert. Do I need to invert?
Oh my god.
Yep, I need to do an
pet
inversion.
strider? Who has a pet strider in Minecraft?
Pet striders aren't really one, because the striders, well, they can get to gold in the overworld and die.
Yeah. Wait. What was I doing? Oh, I don't know.
Literally, can we all just agree? I think when I saw like the one scene in season 4 where all the soldiers are shooting Demogorgon with AKs, I'm like, well, Demogorgons can resist the 7.62s that literally could destroy concrete and literally tear your freaking limbs off. I'm scared.
No. They shoot it like they shoot a Demogorgon with guns. Don't worry. uses fire to kill it. Okay, now I worry. Or no, I don't know what I meant, but it's just like, so, I don't know.
There's two weaknesses, I think, to Demogorgon. One is fire, and two is melee weapons. Primarily
Melee,
two-handed,
sword.
two-handed blunt weapon, or two-handed bladed weapons.
Like, the sword.
Swords, great swords, long swords,
What are
etc.
they? What about those? You know, Raphael, the red Ninja Turtle, and those things with like 3 blade pieces on it.
I think there's I thought they're called key or something. I don't know what they're called.
Apparently, they're better than swords. Apparently, they can. Depends on the sword you have, but in one of the Ninja Turtle episodes.
Those are more
or
for
movies-
stabbing. I don't know if they were sharpened. Maybe yeah.
Well, in I was watching a Ninja Turtle.
If I had to
movie,
choose a weapon,
and-
if I had Demogorgon with, I'd roll in there with a katana. Like if I had to have a melee, I'd go in there with a
And-
katana. Katanas are awesome. They cut right through anything. And the reason I like katanas are like I've never used one, but if I wanted to pick one, not because they're like from ninjas, it's because they got a nice curve in the blade that can really help it cut through the air.
But I was watching a Ninja Turtle movie, and the thing that I was talking about apparently broke Leonardo's sword. There's like when he twists his arm, he twists the weapon and broke the blade.
This top part is disconnected from the other one.
This stuff is so fake, but I like watching it.
What?
It's like the guy's in hardcore and survival, right? And he has his friends get on, and they have to set stuff up and stuff. And out of all the pieces, he has stuff to escape with, like. So they trap him, and all of a sudden, he has the exact same, like, out of nowhere, he has the stuff that makes him escape.
Wait a
So
second.
stupid.
Hey, there it is. Okay. I know what to do now. There. Dig over here. What the hell? Okay. There it is. Dig. Out that why I found out something. I know it's like kind of like, oh, why what, that's not really that cool, but
Hello.
it is cool. Oh, hi Noah. And okay. It's off.
Remember
So
that creative word
mm,
you made with me? And it had that giant deep slate brick bridge.
yeah.
Yeah, I was on it earlier. Just working on the pillager outpost I had. There was there.
You know, ironically, from Horizon Zero Dawn, there's one weakness to the Pharaoh Swarm. What? I'm not pitching it.
I'm gonna run into town and see if your bread's ready and get some gas in the car. If there's no bread, I have to make spaghetti for you.
Yeah. Well, all the strength assault said earlier about the Pharaoh Swarm.
Are you using that cord yet?
Yes.
Why, was it lagging?
Yes.
Is it working better now?
Mm-hmm. There is one weakness to the Pharaoh Swarm. Basically,
What?
if you don't know, the Pharaoh Swarm almost act like the robots act. They act as a hive mind. If one knows your location, then the other ones. I like this game, Minecraft. But there is, ironically, one weakness to the Pharaoh Swarm.
What?
Fire. They hate fire. The Pharaoh Swarm has an overheating feature, and once you light it up with fire, they start burning, and they have to cool down where they'll be disabled for a little bit.
And then that's when you can get your hits in.
You hit the core. You can hit a feral robot like the the crawly one, the little black crawly one.
Yeah.
Those ones are the weaker ones. You can hit them anywhere and deal damage, but it's primarily recommended to hit the cores. But with a Kopesh,
Yeah, I know.
a Kopesh, I have nailed a Kopesh, like the Deathbringers. I've nailed them with a 300 damage bow, and it only does like 20 to 30 damage.
Without
You have to,
like, if you just hit anywhere.
yeah, you have to like light their ass up on fire.
Yeah. So I made a villager breeder, I think I've told you yesterday. I have a mason, no, what's his name? A butcher, leather worker, and what's the one with the leather, or not, when you can sell wool to them? Their names.
That's a shepherd.
Shepherd, yeah. I have that. Trading hall, I have butcher and stuff. I'm right now using my farmer and my my mending librarian, which actually suffocated in the wall, almost died. But I saved him.
What? Oh, okay. Why the hell is this lit up? Oh crap, this is
That's not a
annoying.
village.
What? What is he?
What?
What's he saying?
There's a village and there were houses that his friends apparently made. It's so stupid. In his thumbnails, they show, what is that? Oh wait, what is that? Obsidian golems? Let me watch the video. It's 8 minutes and 2 seconds long. Copper golem. This is stupid. They show in the thumbnail obsidian golems. Here, there's TNT golems.
Hey, I found this golem. It's called a Stop Making Clickbait, you dumb asshole golem. It's really interesting.
Hey, at least they have a custom golem at least. So that's one thing about it.
God, where is... Oops, there's the wire. If it's one thing I kind of miss in the old Horizon game, it's the frickin' Deathbringers, man. Those things, unlike other machines...
In your world? Wait, how does they get in your world?
What?
I don't know.
What are you asking me? Okay. Where does it go up? Because instead of inverting them all, what if I just invert it before it goes back up? Okay, this is the conduit right here. Oh, shoot. Everything's off, so yep, that should be off. So where's the conduit that goes up? It's this? Wait, okay, never mind, hold on. The conduit that goes up is like right here. Hopefully this should work, right? Let's try it. You know, I'm gonna do that now. Every time I build a building, I'm gonna turn it to midnight, and I'm gonna observe the lights. Oop, there goes 2 phantoms. Hey, good, 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 good. And the lighting is good. At least that is right now. Oh crap, I deleted my structure block. However, you should know that your boy has pick block. I could just go over.
Same.
I can find. If you delete a block out of your inventory, like a command block, all you gotta do is find a command block and pick block it, and there you go. It's back.
Guys, I have no idea where he is, bro, but he wasn't there. He stole my stuff, bro. What? What? Were you in your base? Oh my god, guys. Guys, we actually have to get there like now, bro. I don't even know how he got out. Oh my god, this is so stupid.
You don't know how he got out.
I don't even know how he got out of there.
What? Let me like what? How they contain him?
Put him in obsidian. No, TNT, golem pit, and he had a. Apparently, out of all the chances, he has a piece of a sapling, and he somehow escapes. Like, stupid. He has exact stuff that he needs to escape out of there. No! Oh, never mind, he's not clickbaiting. He says obsidian golem, so.
Surprise.
I need a piece of stained glass.
I hate when people like that ostracize people for playing video games. Like, why don't you like watch a movie? You're like
Stupid.
like watching a movie is literally you're doing the same thing, but it's not as fun. Most I have to go on a mini tangent right now and to say most of the movies that come out these days are just plain awful, man. I hate them.
Depends on how you're. Like, I don't know.
Like, and I feel like, and I have, like, I think Love and Thunder, it's fine. That's the only movie I really liked in 2022. Like, that, I just, hi. Okay, how to save time. Or 10, -1, 10, -10, -1, -10. Nope, don't do that.
What is happening?
Gravel.
Whoa, get off me! Ooh.
Guys, he's out of this hole, in this hole. Guys, in this tunnel, right here. Oh my god! What? What is that? What is
How to save time.
I'm
I would say probably at least 20 to 30 hours of time in this world.
The other world was to like 300 a day. Not 300 hours, but 300 streams of it. Cut.
Oh my god. I would tell you. We're not gonna say no. Let's do it.
It is on hardcore mode. Then just enter.
I have to go back and like actually build these like little corners I've missed, but I don't care. This is my new modernistic look. I'm trying it out, and I think I'm doing very good at making a modern look that doesn't look too simplistic, but not too like cracked.
Who has a pet bee in Minecraft?
I wish they would
You
make
make-
something with copper. You know what I think they need to make with copper? They need to make it where you can like make conduits, like solid redstone things. Like if you put like 3 copper in a row, it'd make like 16 conduits, and you could transfer redstone through them. And I
Wait,
think you should put.
conduits?
If you don't know what a conduit is like a pipe that you put wiring through.
Oh, I thought you were talking about the Minecraft conduit. The water
Yeah, if you don't
breathing
know,
one.
like, do you know? Remember, like, when you go to my house, you see that gray tube in my garage go into my house? That's a conduit. That's carrying the generator's line into my house.
Time. Sunrise.
What are you doing in your? What world are you doing that in? What world are you doing that in?
What? Oh, that world with that bridge and that giant wall.
Yeah.
That world. Really? I can play any version of Minecraft on like Fortnite?
I remember back
Hey,
then.
Fortnite added. Sorry.
What they had?
What?
What they had?
If Fortnite added where you could go back to like the old version, probably bring a lot. I'm not saying probably bring back a lot of players.
Just screw all the crossovers. I'm gonna go on a limb and say it. Screw all the Star Wars crossovers. Screw all the Marvel crossovers. Screw all the screw that. Just go back. I bet you, if they just made it like season 5 or below, no BS guns and all that stuff. That I mean the skins part. I get if I don't even care. Keep the skins. Here's the thing. Just go back to season 5 and go back to the OG time. If they did that, everybody would be happy. But here's the problem with Fortnite is that they cannot accept one thing. Is that games will die. Minecraft died. Like Minecraft is lucky. They got out on they got out carefully. You see, when a game dies, there's two ways a game will die. It will die completely where like almost nobody plays it and nobody pays for it, or it will die in popularity. For example, let's say Astroneer or Terraria, they're not really dead games. They're not as popular, but there is still communities behind it. And even the most dead games will have communities behind them.
Yeah.
But here's the thing.
Popular.
Fortnite cannot accept the fact that their game will probably die. And I get what they're trying to do because Fortnite is a very big financial asset for Epic. It's their big way of making money. They reap a lot of money. But I think, actually, I'm going to think about this. I think maybe what's happening is they're paying a lot of their money towards licensing and not towards the game. Because if you don't know, let's say I make a movie and I have a Coca-Cola bottle. I actually have to pay Coca-Cola money to use that. Like, for example, it's almost like plagiarism. Like, for example, in Stranger Things, that Coca-Cola can, they probably paid a few $100,000, if not millions of dollars, for that can to even be there. Because that is the property of the Coca-Cola Corporation. Can I make a YouTube video, drink a Coca-Cola, and get away with it? Actually, yes. But
Because
it's either
you're drinking it. And
it's kind of iffy. I can't really tell you anything like around that. I'm not the expertise of like copyright and stuff. I know a little bit of it, but not a whole lot.
yeah. I have my skin. Ugh. I will admit, the Fortnite Marvel collabs, I do like the way they make skins.
I mean, yeah, they're
But
fine.
like, yeah,
I can
especially,
take-
okay, I would like the earlier ones, like the Black Widow and Star Wars.
The best
Star-Lord,
the best
old one.
crossover they've ever done is probably the Thanos crossover.
Thanos. Yeah.
First one though. The end game was
Yeah, not
okay. I remember when I got Thanos, but I did not know how to use him, and I got literally just lasered by a bunch of noobs.
Yeah.
And
Let me think. I'm thinking. Sorry.
And like the Infinity Blade, I get it was controversial. I could take the Infinity Blade. I have no complaints about it. Planes, I didn't have any complaints because everybody who knew how to use planes are complete dog shit, and they just crashed them into the ground and died.
Yeah.
I don't know why. I will say, anyone can unanimously agree the mechs were complete dog shit. That is probably one of the things that killed Fortnite. Is that it starting in season 10, they just like in season 10 they blatantly tried to switch over and pander to the younger audience, which I don't like I'm not saying this because I'm a teenager, but I don't really mind if they pan over the younger audience, but here's the thing. They made the other parts of the audience, like the adult and teenager audience, suffer from it. And that's where I think that they went wrong. They really did. Hello?
So, true story. I'm playing Fortnite, right, with my friend on Sleepover. Friend leaves, I'm playing Fortnite still. And I have the scientist. Okay. And I have the scientist skin, right? It's a black robot skin. And I was getting these discs because then you could change it from a black robot to a white robot, like metal colored, right? My mom comes in saying, you know what, you've been playing on Fortnite too much lately, and like you've been playing constantly, 24/7. I've had enough of this, and she took away Fortnite. And that's my
I
story.
personally, if I had to go back to Battle Royale, I've been shortened from like 4. I used to play 4 back then. Fortnite, Warzone, Apex, and mobile Call of Duty. Actually, no, 5. Now I'm shortened down to 3. If I had to join, I'd probably join mobile. Yeah, you could say, oh, I'm dog shit. I don't give a shit. The only Battle Royales I play these days are like the ones on mobile. Phantom Forces is not a Battle Royale. I've almost quit. I've almost quit Battle Royales because here's why. And I know, ooh, you probably have addiction to video games. Okay, listen, hear me out. I'd rather be addicted to playing Minecraft because I don't stress the shit out about it. But Fortnite was really pissing me off. Like, I've literally wanted to just stab a controller before. I don't think I've ever been more mad playing a video game series more than Fortnite. I'm being serious. Fortnite was not mentally healthy for me to play. I would always rage and shit. And
Got me taken away.
here's... Oh my god, your mic. Now here's the problem. Oh my god, I can't talk. I'm not mad at you, I'm just mad at your stupid mic. Alright, here's the problem. Is that when you play Fortnite... Oh my god. And you lose, you look at that game and say, I could do better. And then it's addictive by... I'm not saying, oh, video game addiction, these kids... No, I'm not gonna be one of those people. If you want to play Fortnite, I will not shame you. Like, I might joke around like, oh, you still play Fortnite? But I'm just joking at the end of the day. But if you want to play Fortnite, go ahead. I do not care. But that's your life, and I will not control you at all. But the problem with Fortnite is that it is a highly addictive game. Here's how. Because you see the game, how you lose, and then you're like, how could I win the game? And you think you could win, but you don't. In most cases. I never really won because I wasn't the best, but I wanted to win. And the thing is, you play over and over and over, and so you get that one win, and by the time you've gotten that first win, you're hooked. You're just hooked. And then you don't stop playing. I think the 2021 was kind of the falling out between me and Battle Royales. I've almost completely quit them. The last time I played Battle Royale was on Apex, and that was literally like when school was start. Like 3 weeks ago. Last time I played Fortnite was in December. And that was when I was I had nothing else to do because I was about to get ready streaming. I could have played Smaka in December, but I wanted to kind of build myself up. Quiet. Your mic is glitching.
Muted.
Okay. I got sick and tired. I would rage at Fortnite. But Fortnite, if I had to play it, I would play it when I'm bored. Like, what's it called? I have repeatedly told my friends I will not play Fallout 76. I would deadass rather play Fallout 76 than Fortnite. Fallout 76 is not the best game, in my opinion. Now it's doing that glitchy thing again. Oh my god!
I was muted. I don't know why it was still doing it.
It's still doing it right now.
What the heck?
Oh my god. It's still going. No, stop.
Can I join your world real quick? So I
What?
can just use chat to talk to you,
Yeah,
if
hold
that's
on.
fine. Okay, I'm gonna leave party because it's this bad. So yeah, I don't ruin your stream. Okay,
Actually,
I'm
all
just
you
gonna
gotta
leave so I don't.
do, I'm gonna show you what you do. You go into your party, and you make it where your voice is not included in broadcasts, and that's it.
Chat audio?
Yeah, you can make it where your voice is not included in broadcasts. That's all you gotta do.
Wait, chat audio pro pro game chat? Oh, that means I could talk to people in games. Just a second. Party. Where is my party audio settings? Oh wait, chat audio. Allow your voice to be shared.
Yeah.
Party voice chat connection. Video quality for share play. About party safety. I don't know what it. Adjust microphone levels.
I don't know if it's true, but apparently they did like the whole like party bullshit because of a kid that like offed himself because these kids or these guys on COD were doing it. Pretty sad case. Pro- I- Spell it, spell it, spell it. Priority? Oh my god. Jesus Christ. Yeah, your mic's broken. It's done. What? Yes. The Bhopal gas tragedy.
Thank you to my Patreons for voting for this subject. If you'd like to vote on future subjects as well as get early access to videos, then check out my Patreon where you can support the channel from as little as just $1 per creation. Oh boy, this disaster is a horror show. Slightly different from my usual atomic-related content, but the aftermath of Bhopal gives any nuclear accident a run for its money. Okay, let's go through some background information first. Bhopal is a city of the Indian state of Madhya Pradesh, which is about here on a map. The city's population had grown rapidly between the 1950s and 1980s, from around 60,000 to 800,000. India's 16th largest city is situated 500 metres above sea level, and the area is famous for its surrounding hills, fields and forests. In 1984, the city's municipality covered 285 square kilometres, and due to its location in central India, had become a major communications and transport hub. The old town of Bhopal consisted of tight twisting roads, markets, mosques and the railway junction, mainly inhabited by poorer families. The houses in the area were of two types. Kutcha houses had no doors or windows, and the more permanent Pakka houses. Moving south of the old town is the more affluent part of the city, with more modern housing and larger avenues. To the north of the old town is situated the Union Carbide Indian Limited plant, surrounded by working class densely populated slums. The plant was built in 1969 for the purposes of making pesticides derived from concentrates from the US. In 1977, a production plant to make Sevin was established. Sevin was Union Carbide's marketing name for Carabao pesticide, created by the company in 1958. Up until 1979, the plant had used imported methyl isocyanate, also known as MIC. However, it was decided that the Bhopal plant would benefit from being able to create its own MIC. The government of India granted the company a license to produce 5,000 tonnes of Sevin per year, way above the predicted annual sales forecasts of around 2,000 tonnes. However, management in New York sought to boost sales with a higher output, and went ahead with a plant boasting capacity close to its licensing restriction rather than actual demand. The increased output of pesticides from the plant did nothing to boost sales. In fact, sales reduced, mainly due to local droughts and poor performance of the chemical in the field. By 1982, sales were under half the plant's capacity, and by 1984, sales had dropped to a fifth. Because of this, Union Carbide set out to make savings the only way a big corporation knows how, by cutting back on staff. The barely broken-in MIC plant, which was oversized for demand, struggled to make any kind of profit. The staff cutbacks increased, eventually laying off highly skilled workers. It was also around 1982 that the culture of the plant changed, as a safety-first and expensive-to-employ American engineer in charge was replaced with a USA-educated Indian national engineer who was much more company-focused. The new plant manager was tasked with saving Union Carbide as much money as possible, and was answerable to a financial controller. Union Carbide was looking into every avenue to rid themselves of the plant. One idea was to dismantle the whole operation and send it to South America. However, this was quickly abandoned as the plant showed signs of corrosion at several points. The story only gets worse as throughout 1983, pressure was increased to make cuts. And since as much staff as possible had been laid off, the next thing to target was, unsurprisingly, maintenance. Stainless steel parts were replaced with cheaper regular steel, and safety check intervals were doubled. Instruments, as they failed, weren't replaced. The company was really sweating the assets to beyond what would be considered safe. As we saw with Tokaimura, major changes to processes were brought in and modifications to methods led to a more hazardous working environment. Disaster by this point was guaranteed. But before we get on to that, let's have a quick look at the process used in the plant for the manufacture of Sevin. Sevin manufacture is a fairly cheap process and involves direct reaction of MIC with 1 naphtol. MIC was manufactured at Bhopal by reacting
Methane.
The great experiences you have in here.
methylamine and phosgene. Both chemicals are colourless gases, and the resultant MIC was then used to make Sevin. The MIC needed to be stored after its manufacture at the MIC plant on site. 3 underground 68,000 litre tanks numbered E610, E611 and E619 were provided. In normal operation, 2 of the 3 tanks were used to store MIC of good quality, and the final tank was used to store rejected product for reprocessing later. Each tank had a diameter of 240 centimetres and a length of 1200 centimetres. From the plant to the tanks runs a common stainless steel line which branches off to each individual tank. Discharges from safety relief valves from each individual tank is taken to a common relief vent valve header. The RVVH was used to vent excess toxic gases to a vent gas scrubber. A rupture disc was provided at the end of the RVVH line to break at 40 psi. Once broken, the gases would make their way to the scrubber. The MIC was stored under pressure from high purity nitrogen gas. This was provided by a common header made of steel. Nitrogen was needed to prevent MIC from being exposed to moisture. Excess nitrogen was taken to a common process vent header, PVH, made of steel and also sent to the vent gas scrubber. The reason why MIC couldn't be exposed to moisture was because of the risk of an exothermic reaction. Once the scrubber had processed the gases, it was sent to a flare tower for burning. Up until 1984, the RVVH and PVH were kept separate. However, it was decided in May by management that a connection between the two would help in the case of either valve being out of operation for maintenance. A jumper line between the two was used. Bizarrely but unsurprisingly, safety audits of Union Carbide plants in the US and Europe were undertaken yearly. However, elsewhere in the world, only received one every 2 years. In May 1982, one such of these audits was undertaken at Bhopal, and the results were a worrying sign of things to come. Worker performance was below that of their American counterparts, mainly due to a high turnover of untrained staff, and 10 major concerns were highlighted. It was also found that safety equipment, alarms and instruments were poorly maintained and not regularly tested.
Oh, good.
An action plan was written but never followed up. Mid-1984, after a visit to Bhopal, a senior engineer reported to UCC that what he saw at the plant was worrying. However, again, unsurprisingly, this was not followed up. Bhopal's design was based on US plants, one such situated in Virginia. In September 1984, an internal UCC report highlighted a risk of a runaway reaction in the MIC storage tanks due to a number of defects. Moreover, response plans were not effective enough to prevent a catastrophic failure. Surprise, surprise, the report was never forwarded to Bhopal. By 1984, multiple safety systems had either failed or were not in use, including the vent gas scrubber. Pipelines and parts of the storage tanks were corroded to a dangerous degree. On the 3rd of December, tank 610 contained around 42 tonnes of MIC. Bearing in mind that the tanks were meant to be kept under pressure, the unmaintained meters showed abnormally low PSI levels. Several days before, attempts were made to try and pressurise tank 610 to allow the transfer of MIC to the Sevin plant. However, these failed. At 8:30 p.m. on the 2nd of December, operators began to clean pipelines by inserting a hose into the system. During this operation, a slip line to stop water from getting into the tank was not used. Some water managed to make its way into tank 610, and at around 10 p.m. an exothermic reaction began. The reaction was exacerbated by contamination in the poorly maintained pipework. After a shift change, the pressure in the tank was recorded at 10:30 at 2 psi. However, no temperature was recorded. The pressure over the next hour would gradually rise to 10 psi. However, this increase was put down to a malfunctioning gauge. This assumption would be wrong, however, as the increase in pressure was hinting at something much more deadly.
Uh-oh.
At 11:30 p.m, several workers near the vent gas scrubbers started to feel the first effects of exposure of MIC via irritation to their eyes. Workers began to search the structure for a leak. MIC and water were found coming out of a branch of the RVVH, where the safety valve had been removed and the open pipe had been blocked off. The leak was reported around midnight, and bizarrely the supervisor decided that the operators should spray water at the tank and that no further action should be taken until after a tea break.
What?
Other workers were ordered to look for any other leaks during the break. Not long after the tea break, at around 12:30 in the morning, the reaction in tank E610 reached a critical state, pushing pressure to 40 psi, causing a noticeable rumbling from within. Concrete started to crack around the tank's emergency relief valve as it began to fail. The pressure indicator of the tank in the control room was now showing a reading off the scale at 55 psi at 25 degrees centigrade. An alarm was sounded to alert the rest of the plant to a leak. Over the next 10 to 20 minutes, the alarm was suppressed. At around 1 a.m, water was sprayed onto the vent gas scrubber structure to try and reduce the amount of gases being vented to atmosphere. However, lack of water pressure meant that the stream couldn't reach the height of the leak. Water was also sprayed on the storage tank mounds and pipes from tank 610 to the VGS. The gas was being vented to atmosphere. As it contacted the cold air, it condensed and started slowly to rain down on the local area to the southeast of the plant, only to be evaporated again, spreading further into the residential areas. At around 1:30 a.m, several workers had fled the plant. After this point, the safety valve on tank 610 reset, indicating a drop in pressure and an end to the uncontrolled release of MIC. Just after 2 a.m, the public siren sounded. Tank 610 was warm to the touch, and several pressure and temperature gauges were damaged, giving an indication of the intense reaction that had taken place. In total, around 40 tons of MIC had been released to atmosphere, condensing and falling onto the earth around the densely populated streets of Bhopal. The cloud that engulfed the town was not solely made up of MIC, but instead a cocktail of various deadly chemicals. Some of them included chloroform, carbon dioxide and hydrogen chloride, as well as many other elements. Much of the cloud was denser than air, causing
So
it
it
to hover
failed.
closely to the ground, permeating its way into the densely populated slums. Many houses of which had their doors open, as residents woken up by the siren went outside to investigate the commotion. Immediately after Union Carbide informed the authorities at around 3 a.m, the state and Indian governments began to provide assistance. However, by this time, reports of fatalities had already been given to the police. At around 6 a.m, the police took to the streets with loudspeakers mounted on cars, saying, "Something has gone wrong somewhere. Everything is normal now. Citizens are requested to return to their homes." This wasn't much help to residents of the window and doorless Kutcher houses, where many of the owners of these properties died in their sleep. In the commotion, many residents fled their homes, some in cars, but the majority on foot or bicycle. This would be a factor in the number of casualties, as out in the open, the risk of ingestion of the chemicals was greatly increased. The cloud's effects on the human body started off with burning eyes, followed by vomiting, and eventually, as the gases made their way inside the lungs, trouble breathing and a burning sensation in the throat. Many people ran in the same direction of the cloud, exposing themselves further to deadly levels. Bhopal train station was in the affected area. During the night, the station was busy with travellers, homeless and gypsies, many of whom were found dead by the morning. In the cold light of the morning sun, every cow, goat, cat, dog and buffalo around the plant lay dead. In the immediate vicinity, human bodies lay lifeless both inside and outside of their homes. And within a few days, All the grass had turned yellow and the trees had lost their leaves. On the 4th of December, the police started collecting the bodies and dumped them into the river. A proper count of victims was never really undertaken. During the initial days, residents from around the city rushed to help in any way they could, many using their own vehicles to help to transport the injured to hospitals and to remove the dead, at some risk to their own lives. The hospitals after the leak were swamped with blinded, foaming at the mouth and gasping for breath patients, many of whom had toxic chemicals embedded into their clothes and hair. Healthcare workers. Around 170,000 people, 14,000 of which were severely injured, were treated in hospitals around Bhopal and Madhya Pradesh. Many were treated outside buildings due to the overflow of people. Medical students, doctors, paramedics and nurses all helped with treating the wounded. Even more medical professionals from the rest of the country and even internationally either attended at Bhopal or offered specialised advice to the humanitarian effort. UCC's chairman and CEO Warren Anderson visited India in the aftermath of the leakage. However, he was placed under house arrest and urged to leave the country. UCC organised a healthcare team to provide assistance to the overstretched local medical community. The MIC was believed to remain in the atmosphere for several weeks, and because of this, the number of the wider population affected is largely unknown. 5 kilometres away from the affected area, a mass grave for the rotting animal carcasses was dug and lined with lime and salt to try and reduce the risk of contaminating the ground. All throughout this time, the bodies of the victims were either burnt in funeral pyres or buried in mass graves. Many dead went unidentified, including children. There are some harrowing photos of the victims, and the amount of suffering is truly horrible to see. This brings us on to Operation Faith. After investigations into the status of the Union Carbide plant, it was discovered that several more tons of MIC was still stored at the site, in Tank 611. It was decided that the best way to rid of the potential second disaster was to power up the Severn plant to convert the MIC. December the 16th was decided to enact Operation Faith. However, before the plan could be put into action, some remedial repairs had to be made to the safety systems at the plant. All staff were retrained for the operation, and an alarm system was set up in case of a leak. The government set out to evacuate around 80,000 people nearest the facility. However, many were untrusting of the government and decided to leave the town completely, opting not to use the official evacuation point. In total, 22 tons of MIC were converted to Severn under Operation Faith. In March 1985, the Indian government passed the Bhopal Gas Act, allowing legal action to be brought against UCC. After several years of litigation in both the US and India, resulted in an out-of-court settlement of $470 million in November 1989. In 2010, 7 Indian nationals were charged and convicted of causing death by negligence, and were each sentenced to 2 years and a fine of 100,000 rupees. In 2006, the Indian government claimed a total of 700,000 people affected by the MIC leak. It is thought between 3,000 and 16,000 people died as a result, with temporary partial injuries and nearly 4,000 permanent injuries. Even today, the long-term effects are felt with higher than average levels of birth defects and chronic illnesses, including cancer and tuberculosis. The community of Bhopal still feel the emotional pain of the disaster, and the sorrow runs deep. The factory closed down in 1986, and after anything of value was sold off, the site has been left pretty much to rust away. Tragic is not a strong enough word to describe the Bhopal disaster. Even for a channel like this that pretty much only covers massive industrial disasters, I'm shocked at the carnage that was rained down on the city. Now, for me, this is a longer video, however, it barely scratches the surface of the disaster. I highly recommend reading number 2 and 3 in my sources section, as both reports give an almost minute-by-minute breakdown of the event as it unfolded. Also, check out this book, 5 Past Midnight in Bhopal. It is well worth a read. Now, what do you think? Could an industrial disaster on this scale happen again? Sadly, I think it really could. Let me know what you think in the comments below. I hope you enjoyed the video, and all that's left to say is thank you for watching.
Might take a break here. Yeah, a little tired. I think the next episode we're gonna focus on building this, which is gonna be like the corporation in my country that will deal with water stuff. That's gonna be deal with farming and all that stuff. And more. My goal is to... Okay, so I have an idea. By the end of this week, I want to get, hopefully, all these buildings done and this area done. So yeah, I'm gonna take a break. Bye.